Hey, welcome to today's video. I'm Rick Chapo with DMCAagentservice.com. So today we're taking a look at the DMCA compliance tip, the repeat and infringer policies. And we're taking a look at this because there's been a couple cases over the last few years where companies have got this wrong, and it's resulted in some pretty nasty judgments. So, under the DMCA, you as a website or an app owner have immunity under the copyright or immunity from copyright infringement claims based on content uploaded by your users, so long as you follow a particular compliance process. And the repeat infringer policies are part of that process. And so, what is it? Well, repeat infringer policy is simply your company's policy on your users and how many infringement claims they can have over a certain period of time before you will terminate them. And yes, you must terminate them. That's required in the DMCA. What is not required in the DMCA or was not specified is the number of complaints over how long. And so we have some disagreement in this area, but the industry standard is generally something along the lines of 2 to 3 complaints over a 2 to 3 year period. And so you want to pick very specific numbers there. We have seen a couple of cases where much larger numbers have been thrown out there, something like 20 over 2 years, but that was a pretty egregious situation, and the court didn't actually look at those numbers. Generally, you probably want to go more with the industry standards. Now, you want to write this policy down. It should be part of your business records. You do not need to publish it on your website. It is just an internal policy, but it is incredibly important that you actually enforce it. And here's where we've seen the lawsuits that have been successful in attacking companies' claims of DMCA protection. So one was just came down recently. I'm recording this video in March 2019, and there was a case, I believe last month. It was called Grande Communications, in which the company had a repeat infringer policy. They were an ISP with about 160,000 members or clients, and they had this policy, and apparently they enforced it all the way up to about 2010. And then something happened in 2010, and the accusation from the recording industry was that the DMCA or the repeat infringer policy was not enforced for a period of roughly 6 years. And when the evidence was developed and the court looked at it, the court agreed. It appears as though Grande Communications did not terminate the parties who violated their repeat infringer policies. So if the repeat infringer policy said, that any customer who received more than 3 complaints in 2 years should be terminated. Well, one customer received 4 complaints, within a year, Grande didn't terminate them. At least that's the allegation, and that's what the court found. And so in doing so, they waived the safe harbor immunity under the DMCA. That is not a good day. There have been other cases as well. Cox Communications was hit with a $25 million judgment for not enforcing its repeat infringer policy. And so this is an area that it's very, very important you comply with. You must enforce your policy. This is an area that plaintiffs' attorneys, that people who are filing lawsuits are looking at, and one of the areas where they regularly attack companies. So make sure you do it. Number 3, records. Keep records. Create a spreadsheet or a memo or however you want to do it, but make sure you have a written record that you can provide to the court if somebody claims you're not enforcing your policy. And that record should contain, hey, notes. Here's, this customer received a DMCA takedown notice from this company on this date, and that's his first complaint, his or her first complaint in a year. Those kinds of things. You just basically, what's going on. And then you obviously want to keep a total for each customer or each user of your site. And if that total, eventually trips your repeat infringer policy, then you need to terminate that person. Now I realize you don't want to do that, but it's the law, and terminating that person is far better than losing your safe harbor. And you see big companies do this all the time. It used to be a real issue with Tumblr. A lot of people would be posting things that constituted copyright infringement, and they hadn't really, thought it through. They weren't being devious. It was just, so many things were getting posted on there that it just happened all the time. And we received calls endlessly from people who ran into that problem. So records. Make sure you have records. You need to be able to objectively prove that you've been enforcing your policy. That's why I say, did we mention records? Make sure you have something you can handle and to the judge. So extremely important. So repeat infringer policies, not the most complex things in the world, but you just want to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row. Make sure you establish your policy. how many infringement claims, over what period of time. Make sure it's in writing. Make sure you enforce your policy, and then make sure you keep records. Very, very important. If you do all that, you've satisfied that aspect of the DMCA compliance, and anybody trying to attack your business in that area is going to fail. And so that's the good news. So anyways, I'm Rick Chapo with DMCAagentservice.com. We provide third-party agents, DMCA agents, to website and app owners who want to comply with the DMCA but don't want to list their personal information in the public database maintained by the Copyright Office or on their site. And so if you have any questions or comments, feel free to post them below. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving us a thumbs up. If you didn't, we feel shame. We are a company that works in the DMCA niche. So if you're interested in DMCA and copyright issues, feel free to subscribe to our channel, because obviously we'll be posting more videos on this topic. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching.